in. I hope you're able to see my screen, right? Can someone respond in chat box? Fine. Now, thank you. Fine. So yesterday I have given some introduction to Eclipse and how we are going to work, right? Today I'll be discussing some important topics. I'll be discussing like inheritance, polymorphism. As a part of polymorphism, we are going to discuss about method overloading and method overriding, and we are going to discuss about encapsulation, and I'll discuss about final modifier. And if time permits, we will discuss about abstract classes and interfaces. These are the topics we are going to discuss as a part of our sessions. Okay, fine. Just a second. Simultaneously, you also can work with me. Like everybody, please open your Eclipse IDE. Fine. So let me start with just a second. Let me. Fine. So now I'll start with inheritance. Yesterday I told you, right? We are having 5 types of inheritance. I'll show you how we are going to work with each one. Let me create a separate package. Right click on src, new package, com.madhu.inheritance. Right click, new class called sample1. In this sample1 class, let me create a variable and a method. Int a is equal to 45. Void show. System.ln of. See here. Here is an example of inheritance. Here is an example of inheritance. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new class called sample2. I want to inherit the data from sample1 to sample2. Like we are going to use extends keyword. We are going to inherit the data by using extends keyword. New class called sample2. Extend sample1. Sample2 extends sample1. So whatever the data we are having in sample1, we need to get into sample2. Here I want to inherit the data, and let me create a new method here. Void show 2. Okay. Here advantage of inheritance is reusability. Now for the purpose of main method, I am going to create a new class called test. New class called test. In this test class, let me create a main method. In this test class, let me create a main method. I am creating object for subclass. sample2 obj is equal to new sample2. Okay. Here obj dot, let me call the sample1 data as well. Why? Because we are inheriting, right? The value is obj dot okay. Just a second. Let me obj dot show obj dot show 2. Okay, if I run this code successfully, it is going to be executed. See here how we have worked. We have inherited data from sample1 to sample2. I created object for subclass. Okay, and I have access both super and subclass properties. Now, second thing is, for example, if I put comma here, immediately you'll be getting a compile time error. Why? Because at a time we can inherit only one class. We cannot inherit multiple classes at a time. Okay. After this example, I'll show you why Java does not support multiple inheritance using classes. I think I should have given a point, right? Java does not support multiple inheritance using classes. Java does not support multiple inheritance using classes. Next one is multi-level inheritance. Multi-level means sample 1 to sample 2 we did, right? Now sample 2 to sample 3. Sample 3 extends sample 3 extends sample 2 means sample 3 is getting the properties of sample 1 and sample 2. Simply, for example, grandfather to father, father to child. So child is getting the properties of grandfather and father, right? In our general scenario. Now, see here. Let me create new class called sample 3. Sample 3 extends sample 2. Sample 3 extends sample 2 means sample 3 is getting the properties of sample 1 and sample 2. Why? Because sample 2 is already having sample 1 data. Void show 3. Here is an example of multi-level inheritance. Okay. Now in test.java, let me keep this logic in comments. Sample 3 obj is equal to new sample 3. A value is plus obj dot a, obj dot show, obj dot show 2, obj dot show 3. See, whatever you're learning, please learn everything in a practical approach. Don't learn any theory part. So I recommend everyone to practice on the same day. Okay. Today I'll be discussing some maximum major topics of core Java. On top of it, tomorrow I'll be showing you like how we are going to work with React.js, what are the problems we are facing in JavaScript. Okay. How we are going to create an application. All those things I'll be discussing in tomorrow's session. Now, see here, if I run this code, sample 3 is getting the properties of sample 1 and sample 2. It is going to be executed successfully. Now, the next one is hierarchical inheritance. Hierarchical means one superclass, multiple subclasses. See here, sample 2 is extending sample 1. Again, I can create a new class called sample 4. I can create a new class called sample 4. See here, sample 4, extend sample. Sample 4 extends sample 1. Sample 4 extends sample 1. See here, void show 4. Here is an example of hierarchical inheritance. Now see here in test.java. Let me keep this logic in comments. Sample 4 obj is equal to new sample 4. A value is this obj dot a show. So here, what you need to understand from this, once if you write the code, any number of times we can reuse the same code again and again. Okay. Already sample 2 is inheriting sample 1. Again, sample 4 also inheriting sample 1. This is the concept of hierarchical inheritance. And the last one is hybrid inheritance. Hybrid is a combination of multiple and hierarchical, right? Hybrid is a combination of multiple and hierarchical. Since Java does not support multiple inheritance using classes, hybrid inheritance also does not support using classes. Hybrid inheritance also does not support using classes. Okay. Now, let me explain why Java. I want to discuss here why Java does not support multiple inheritance using classes. Why Java does not support multiple inheritance using classes. For example, assume that I have a class called A. I have a method called show here. Void show. Okay. Now, assume that I have two classes, class A and class B. Okay. Now, for example, I want to inherit both the classes into a single class. Class test extends A comma B. Class test extends A comma B. Now here let me create a main method. Public static void main of string arguments. Here test t is equal to new test t dot show. Okay, like this we are going to work. If I run this code successfully, it is going to be executed. See, sorry, whenever I'm trying to call show method, JVM cannot understand which method need to be called. Whenever I'm trying to call show method, right? What is happening here? Here we have show method and here we have show method. JVM cannot understand which method need to be called. To get the problem of ambiguity. To solve the problem of ambiguity, Java people removed multiple inheritance using classes. You may have a question. For example, if you have two different methods in two different classes, in that scenario also, you will be getting a compile time error. Whenever you put comma here, immediately you will be getting a compile time error. Like this, we are going to get the problem. Okay. Clear, right? Like this, we are going to work. Java does not support multiple inheritance using classes, but by using interfaces, we can work. By using interfaces, we can work. I'll discuss in the interfaces concept how we are going to work with interfaces by using like for multiple inheritance. Okay. Now let me delete this. Clear, right? Any questions in inheritance? Is it clear? Can I go for the concept of polymorphism? As a part of polymorphism, we are going to discuss about method overloading and method overriding. Is that clear? Can we continue with the polymorphism concept? Now, let's continue with the next topic, polymorphism. In simple words, poly means many, morphism means form. See, whenever you're learning some technology, don't learn much theory, but each and every concept, if you learn practically, so in interviews, you can explain in an easy way. In interviews, you can explain in a easy way. That is the reason every concept you need to learn in a practical manner. Now see here, poly means many, morphism means forms. Polymorphism means many forms. Okay. Basically, we have two types of polymorphism. Basically, we have two types of polymorphism. We have two types of polymorphism. One is compile time polymorphism. Second one is runtime polymorphism. Compile time polymorphism, we call it as method overloading. Runtime polymorphism, we call it as method overriding. Okay, I'll start with overloading. On top of it, we'll go for method overriding concept. Okay, let me start with method overloading. In the name itself, you can understand, right? On top of method, we are going to work. Okay, method overloading means, in simple words, same method name with different number of arguments. Same method name with different number of arguments. Second point is same method name with same number of arguments. Same method name with same number of arguments, but with different data types. Different data types. Now, for example, see here, void add, no arguments. Now, void add of int a comma int b. Okay, see here method name is same, but the argument list is different. Okay. Similarly, void add of int a comma int b comma int c. Like this we can work. Void add of, see here, first three things, same method name with different number of arguments. Fourth one, void add of float a comma float b. If you see this, if you observe second and fourth method, same method name with the same number of arguments, but with different data types. If you observe second and fourth method, so what are we doing here? Same method name with same number of arguments, but with different data types. Okay. Now, the same points, whatever I'm discussing here, I'll show you with the help of example, then it would be more clear for you people. Okay. Now, right click on SRC, new package. So what I'm doing here, for the purpose of each and every concept, I'm creating a separate package. Okay. Form dot Madhu dot method overloading or overloading. It's your wish. And whenever you are creating a package, everything should be lowercase letters. New class called sample. Void add. See here. Here is an example of method overloading. Okay. Now let me pass arguments for the method. Void add of int a comma int b. Int c is equal to a plus b. A plus b value is plus c. Similarly, I can pass three arguments also. Int a comma int b comma int c. Int d is equal to a plus b plus c. A plus b plus c value is plus d. Okay. If you see this, all these three methods, same method name with different number of arguments. The fourth one is same method name with same number of arguments but with different data types. You need to observe the second and fourth method. Void add of float a comma float b. Float c is equal to a plus b. Addition of decimal values plus c. Like this we are going to work. Now I am going to create a class called test. In this test class. So what? If you observe one thing, for the purpose of main method, I am creating a separate class. Let me create object for sample. Obj is equal to new sample. Obj dot add method. Obj dot add of int a comma int b. So whenever I'm passing 12 and 15, whenever I'm passing two values, JVM understands that we have a method with two arguments that is going to be executed successfully. Whenever I'm passing three values, JVM understands that we have a method with three arguments that is going to be executed successfully. Similarly, when I pass decimal values, okay. Now, whenever I'm passing decimal values, JVM understands that we have a method with two decimal arguments that is going to be executed successfully. If I run this code, successfully it is going to be executed. Like this, we need to work with method overloading. Is that clear? So what you need to understand, same method name with different number of arguments. Second thing is same method name with same number of arguments, but with different data types. Okay. Now, let's go for the next concept, method overriding. Then I'll explain about the differences between overloading and overriding. Overriding. Same method name with same number of arguments, same method name with same number of arguments in superclass and subclass. Whenever we are having same method name with same number of arguments in superclass and subclass, by default, subclass method will be executed. will be executed. If you want to execute superclass method also, if you want to execute superclass method also, we need to call superclass method in subclass method by using super keyword. Okay, like this we are going to work. Try to understand these points. Now I'll show you with an example. Yeah, now shall we go with an example of how we are going to work with overriding? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a separate package for the purpose of overriding. So why I'm creating a separate package for each and every concept, in future, if you have any doubts, simply you can open the package and you can check those examples. See here, right click on SRC, new package, com.madhu.method overriding. Okay, now let me create a new class called sample. For sample one, I'm creating a new class called sample one. Here, let me create a show method. Okay, here Java application development. I have created a class called sample one. Here I have created a show method, and here I'm printing Java application development. Now, new class called sample2 extends sample1. What does it mean? Whatever the data we are having in sample1, we need to get into sample2. Now what I will do, right click on your package, new class called test. In this test class, let me create a main method. Okay, here I am creating object for subclass sample2 obj is equal to new sample2 obj.show. So what we are doing here, we are inheriting the data from sample1 to sample2. I have created object for subclass and I'm calling the show method. Successfully it got executed. My point is, if you don't have any method, by default superclass method is executing. But if you have method in subclass, now tell me what could be the output. It should be a two-way communication. Now, if I have same method in super and subclass, what method is going to be executed? I have same method in super and subclass, but by default I'm calling the show method. Which method is going to be called? I mean, which method logic is going to be executed? Superclass show method or subclass show method? Are you getting my question, team? Everybody? Exactly. By default, subclass method is going to be executed. The same point I have given in Notepad also. Okay. If I run this code, successfully it is going to be executed. By default, subclass method is going to be executed. Now my question is, I want to execute superclass method also. What we need to do for that? I have another question now. So by default, subclass method is executing. So if I want to execute superclass method also, what we need to do for that? Exactly. We need to call by using super keyword in subclass method. If I want to execute superclass method also, in subclass method, we need to call super.show. So whenever I'm trying to execute this test.java, here whenever I'm trying to call show method, by default it goes to show method here. What is the first line here? Super.show. That means JVM understands that we have a method called show in superclass. First execute that method. It goes here. Superclass show method is going to be executed. Then the remaining lines are going to be executed successfully. Whenever I run this test.java, by default, super and subclass methods are going to be executed successfully. Perfect. Can we call super in main? Let me show you. You will not get. Why? Because we don't have any superclass for test, right? Superclass means parent class. Got my point? We cannot call super keyword in main method. Only we need to call in the subclass. Exact subclass we need to call. Clear? So just let me explain the differences between overloading and overriding. Overloading means within the same class, same method name with different number of arguments, same method name with the same number of arguments but with different data types. Okay, within the same class. Overloading means. Overriding means superclass and subclass. I can say in another definition, if you are not satisfied with the superclass functionality, in subclass we are going to override it. If you are not satisfied with the superclass functionality, in subclass we are going to override it. Is it clear now? Overloading and overriding. Overloading means within the same class, same method name with different number of arguments. Overriding means same method name with same number of arguments in superclass and subclass. Okay. By default, so if you don't have any method in subclass, by default superclass method is going to be executed. If you have method in subclass, by default subclass method is going to be executed. But if I want to execute superclass method also, what we need to do? We need to call superclass method in subclass method by using super keyword. Like this, we need to explain. Clear, everybody? So if you are having any concerns, just let me know if I'm going fast. Okay, if you want one more example. Okay, so whatever the concerns you are having, you can ask me, or else I'll go with the next topic. You're able to understand, right, what I'm trying to explain? Fine. So basically, as per real time, I'll explain you. You will be having some super classes. You will be having some super classes. So when we are working with multi-threading, you are extending a thread class. You are extending it. If you want to work with multi-threading concept, what we need to do basically, we need to extend thread class. If you want to work with thread class functionality, if you want to work with thread class functionality, what we are going to do? We are going to override the run method. We are going to override the run method. Okay, so already run method will be there in the super class. We are going to override and we are going to write the logic. Clear, right? Now, one very important topic I'm going to discuss. Very important topic. Tomorrow when we are discussing about some real-time applications, just a second. Now see here, I'll show you one more example so that it would be more clear for you. Okay, just a second. Let me create one more package with the new for the new example. For example, new package. So I'll take a superclass called payment. I'll take a superclass called payment. When it comes to subclass, I'm going to take some credit card payment or PayPal payment, different payments I'm going to take. Okay. I'll show you with an example how we are going to work. I'll be taking one method and I'm going to override in the subclasses how we are going to work. I'll be showing you clearly. Okay. I'll take some subclasses and I'll show you with an example. Com dot malu dot. For example, new class called payment. Okay, here I'm creating a method called process payment. Some functionality I'm going to work here. I'm going to take some functionality. Void process payment. Okay. So some amount we are going to process. But okay. So processed amount. Okay. Some amount. Here, for example, if I take double amount, that amount I can define here. Now, just now see here. Let me take a subclass, new class. Let me create a new class called credit card. For example, this is credit card payment, extends payment. I'm going to override that payment and I'm going to give some new amount here. Credit card extends payment. Okay. Here I'm going to override the void process payment. Like this, we can create any number of subclasses. We can create any number of subclasses. The same amount I can take. Double amount. Okay. Okay. So here processed credit card payment. Some amount I'm taking here. Okay. Now let me create a class called. Let me create a class called test for the purpose of main method. Here, let me create a main method. Payment. Payment is equal to. Let me start with the new payment. Payment dot process payment of some amount. Okay. If I run this code, processed amount we got. Now, credit card is equal to new credit card dot process payment of, for example, now if I run this code, see here it got overridden from superclass to subclass. It is the basic example how we are overriding. Okay, at runtime, either it may be credit card or some other. It is based on the object type we are going to override in the code. Like this, we are going to work. Is that clear now? At runtime, we are overriding the functionality. Like this, we are going to work with overriding. I will be sharing the scenarios on each and every topic. Just when you have some time, you can work on it. It's clear, right? Now, the next concept is encapsulation. Now, how we are going to work with encapsulation in real time? I'll show you with an example. Then it would be more clear. See here. Next concept is encapsulation. In simple words, encapsulation means it is used to achieve security for our application. Overloading and overriding is clear for everyone, right? Next important, very important topic is it is used to achieve security for our application. It is used to achieve security for our application. Security is achieved by using private modifier. In general, encapsulation means it is a combination of private variables and public methods. It is a combination of private variables and public methods. Now, public methods means we call it as it is a combination of setters and getters. Setter method is for setting the value. Getter method is for getting the value. Okay. Now try to understand these points. I'll show you with an example and you'll get to know the advantage of working with Eclipse IDE. I'm giving a minute time. Try to analyze these points. I'll show you with an example how we are going to work with Eclipse how we are going to work with encapsulation in Eclipse concept in Eclipse IDE. Shall we go with an example now? Shall we go with an example, team? I'm going to create a separate package for the purpose of encapsulation. Right click on SRC, new package. Form.madhu.encapsulation. I'm creating a class called employee. See how easy it is. If you're working with Eclipse IDE, what is the advantage I'm going to show you now? I'm creating a class called employee. In this employee class, I'm going to take some private properties. Private int ID, private string name, private float, salary. This private data cannot be accessed outside the class. If you want to access this private data outside the class, we are going to use public methods. We are going to use what? Public methods. How we are going to generate these public setters and getters. Okay. Now, easy way is right click on your program, source, generate setters and getters. This is the first way. And the another easy way is, the first way is right click on your program, source, generate setters and getters. The another way is Alt plus Shift plus yes. Alt plus Shift plus yes, or select all, click on OK. Automatically, setters and getters are going to be generated. Okay. Now, for the purpose of main method, I'm going to create a separate class. In this test class, I'm going to create a main method. Here, I'm going to create object for employee. Employee is equal to new employee. Employee dot. By using setter method, we are going to set the values. Sorry. Employee dot set ID of 121. Set name of Madhu Undavalli. Employee dot set salary of 45,000. If you want to get the data, employee ID, employee dot get ID, employee name, get name, employee salary, employee dot get salary. If I run this code, successfully it is going to be executed. When it comes to real-time scenarios, if you're working on, for example, university management system, if you're working on university management system, we can create a class called student, we can create a class called professor with some private data. To access that data, we are going to use setters and getters. Okay. For example, user management system, hospital management system, patient, doctor, all these things are Puja classes. Puja classes means it is a combination of private variables and public methods. Like this, we are going to work. Is that clear, everyone? Now, like this, we are going to work. Once analyze this code, we'll go for the next concept, final modifier. What we are doing, we are creating some private data and we are going to work with it. Just analyze it. I'll be giving 2 minutes time. Then we'll go for the next concept, final modifier. What is the need of private? Directly, we cannot access the data. Okay. We are providing some security. To provide some security, we are using private modifier or private keyword. Clear? Want to see this test.java? Why are we using this keyword? It is used to call the current class reference data. For example, see here, if I don't use this keyword, what happens? I want to show you. Let me save it. So whenever you're declaring a variable, if you don't pass any value, the default values are going to be initialized. The default values are going to be initialized. For example, the value of int is 0. The value for string is null. The value for float is 0.0. Okay. If you don't use this keyword, what happens? The default values will be set there and we are going to get those values. Okay. This keyword is used to call the current class reference data. Understood, right? Why we use setters and getters? To access the data, to access those variables. To access those variables, we are using setters and getters. What is the example for security? Security means we are directly not accessing the variables. In that way, we are providing security for those variables. Clear, right? Any questions? Shall we move for the next topic? Good. Next concept is final modifier. What is the use of final modifier? Final modifier. Final is a modifier where we apply for variables, methods, and classes. Okay. If you apply final modifier for a variable, we cannot reassign the value. Exactly. But where we are applying, how we are going to work, I'll show you. Exactly, correct. Final variables cannot be reassigned. Final methods cannot be overridden. Final classes cannot be inherited. Okay, like this we are going to work. Now I'll show you with an example. Then we'll go for the next concept, how we are going to work with abstract classes and interfaces. Right click on SRC, new, package, com.madhu. Final modifier. Yeah. Now, see here, new class called final demo. Let me create a main method. See here, int a is equal to 45. A value is plus a. For example, a is equal to 50. Plus a. If I run this code, 45 and 50. Okay. But once if I apply final modifier here, you will be getting a compile time error. Why? Because final variables cannot be reassigned. Final variables cannot be reassigned. Like this, we are going to work. Okay. New, or else we have a concept called overriding, right? The same example I'll show you here. If I apply final modifier here, if I apply final modifier in subclass, you will be getting a compile time error. Why? Because final methods cannot be overridden. Okay. Similarly, if I apply final modifier for a class, that cannot be inherited. See here, in subclass you will be getting a compile time error. It is showing like remove final modifier of sample one. Like this, we are going to work. Now, can you take any scenario? Okay, for example, take a class called employee. Take some scenario, super and subclasses. Like for example, in subclass, employee is the superclass. Take a subclass called regular employee or contract employee, and can write some logic like by applying final modifier and share the code in chat box. I'll be giving 5 minutes time. Just you need to work on it and need to share the code in chat box. Yeah, start working on it. Fine. Now the next point I'm going to discuss is abstract classes and interfaces. Abstract classes and interfaces. Before going to discuss about abstract classes and interfaces, right? You should know the concept of methods. Methods means what? Use it to perform functionality. Use it to perform functionality. It is used to perform functionality. Basically, we have two types of methods. We have two types of methods. One is concrete methods. Second one is abstract methods. Which will provide functionality. Okay. Every day, whatever the methods we are creating with some logic, right? Those are concrete methods. Just a sec. See here, abstract methods means just we declare the methods. Abstract methods means just we declare the methods. We are not going to provide any functionality. Okay, how we are going to define abstract methods? Abstract void show. Like this, we are going to declare. Okay. Now let's go with the concept. See, if you are aware of concrete and abstract methods, abstract class concept and interface concept will be very easy for you. Abstract class. So before going to discuss about these things, if anyone asks you the difference between abstract classes and interfaces, in simple words, you need to say like abstract class contains partial implementation, interface does not contain any implementation. In technical terms, abstract class contains both concrete and abstract methods. Interface contains only abstract methods. Interface contains what? Only abstract methods. Now let me give the definition. If we know some part of implementation, that is partial implementation, that is partial implementation, then we need to go for abstract class. Some rules we have. Rules to define abstract class. What are the rules we have? Can contain both concrete and It can contain both concrete and abstract methods. Now you are aware what is a concrete method and what is an abstract method. Can contain only abstract method. Can contain only abstract methods. See, generally why we create object for the purpose of reusability. If there is no complete implementation, then what is the use of creating an object? I mean, we cannot create object for abstract classes. We cannot create object for abstract classes. Like this, we are going to work. I'll show you with an example. Once we are good with abstract classes, then we can go for interfaces. Let me open Eclipse. I'll do one thing. I'll be taking one real-time scenario called bank. Okay. When it comes to bank, we are having some functionalities like deposit, withdraw, loan, interest. Okay. We have some subclasses like ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, Kotak Bank. Okay. See here, assume that deposit and withdraw functionality is common for all the subclasses. Assume that deposit and withdraw functionality is common for all the subclasses. When it comes to loan and interest, based on the documents you have provided, ICICI Bank is going to give only 15 lakhs, HDFC Bank is going to give 20 lakhs, and Kotak Bank is going to give up to 18 lakhs. Different functionality. Whenever we are having different functionality for each subclass, just we are going to make it as abstract and superclasses. In subclasses, we are going to provide the functionality. That is the reason what I have given in definition. If we know some part of implementation, partial implementation, then we need to go for abstract class. Then we need to go for abstract class. Okay. Let's go with an example. Right click on SRC, new package, con.madhu. Abstract classes. Let me create a class called bank, new class called bank. In this bank class, I'm going to create two concrete methods and two abstract methods. Void deposit you can deposit up to 10 lakhs. Void withdraw you can withdraw up to 8 lakhs. See here, 8 lakhs. Now, right click on your package, new class called, I'm creating a subclass. ICICI Bank extends. Before that, I'm going to create two abstract methods here. I'm going to provide functionality in subclasses. Abstract void loan. Now tell me, why are we getting compile time error here? If a class contains at least one abstract method, you have to make your class as abstract. See here, it is giving you two options. Make the type bank as abstract or else remove abstract modifier. Okay, I'm going to make the class as abstract. Now, see here, in subclass, why are we getting compile time error here? It is giving you two options. Add unimplemented methods or else make the type ICICI Bank as abstract. If you observe one thing, see if I click on it, automatically the methods are going to be provided in subclass. This is what the advantage of working with Eclipse IDE. That is the reason I never recommend anyone to work on editors like Notepad or Notepad++. This automatic code generation will not be there. Automatic compilation will not be there. All these are the problems of working with editors. That is the reason I recommend everyone to work with Eclipse IDE or IntelliJ. IntelliJ is also fine. Now let me write some logic. You can take loan up to 12 lakhs. Interest is 2% per annum. Now, let me create a class called test. Here, I want to show you one more point. Let me create a class called main. Here, for example, if I'm trying to create object for bank, see here, when I'm trying to create object for bank, you will be getting a compile time error. Why? Because bank is an abstract class. Bank is an abstract class. We cannot create object, right? Okay. Let me create object. So I'm going to create object for subclass called ICICI Bank. ICICI Bank is equal to new ICICI Bank dot deposit, bank dot withdraw. Why? Because ICICI Bank is a completely implemented class. That is the reason we can create object. Save it and run it. Successfully, it is going to be executed like this. Clear? Any questions, team? Here, it is an abstract class. It is containing partial implementation. When it comes to interface, it contains only abstract methods. It does not contain any implementation. Are you getting my point? Let me give the definition for interfaces. If we don't know any implementation, if we don't know any implementation, just we are having an idea, then we need to go for interfaces. We are having some rules to define interfaces. What are the rules to define interfaces? Can contain or contains only abstract methods. If it contains only abstract methods, we call it as pure abstract class. By default, all the methods present in interface are public and abstract. By default, all the methods present in interface are public and abstract. And I have given one point today itself. Java supports multiple inheritance using interfaces. Supports multiple inheritance using interfaces. Class to class, we use extends keyword. Interface to interface, we use extends keyword. Interface to class, we need to use, if you want, you can take a note of these points. We need to use implements keyword. Whenever you are providing implementation, we need to use implements keyword. Is that clear? Now, can you try this example? Anyone? Like how we are going to create an interface. So what is the syntax for creating an interface? interface name, just like a class. If anyone asks you what is the difference between abstract, normal class and interfaces, means class contains concrete methods, interface contains only abstract methods. I'll show you a small example. Let me create a separate package for the purpose of interfaces. Let me create a new interface called bank. I want to show you one more thing here. In how many ways can we create methods? Yes. Major points here I'm discussing basically. See here, by default it is abstract, right? So we don't need to define by using abstract modifier. Directly we can define, or else like this we can create. Public void loan, or else public abstract void interest. In these many ways we can create abstract methods. Now I want to create an implementation class, new class called ICICI Bank implements bank. Whenever I am providing implementation, right? If you see here, if you take the mouse here, it will give you two options. Add unimplemented methods or else make the type ICICI Bank as an abstract. If I click on this, automatically you'll be getting the, not this one, this one. Okay. It is saying that you're overriding the superclass functionality. Just I'm deleting this. No need. And it is giving that it is the automatic auto-generated method. This is also no issues. Just it is giving in comments. You can deposit up to 10 lakhs. You can withdraw up to 8 lakhs. You can take loan up to 12 lakhs. Interest is 2% per annum. Like this, I'm going to provide the functionality. Now let me create a class called test. For example, if I'm trying to create object for bank, you will be getting a compile time error. Why? Because bank is an interface, you cannot create object. I am going to create object for the implementation class ICICI Bank. Bank is equal to new ICICI Bank. Bank dot deposit, bank dot withdraw, bank dot loan, interest. Like this, we are going to work. If I run this code successfully, it is going to be executed. Like this, we are going to work. Now, if anyone asks you the difference between abstract class and interfaces, what you are going to say? Abstract class contains partial implementation. Interface does not contain any implementation. Abstract class contains both abstract and concrete methods. Interface contains only abstract methods. Like this, we are going to work. I'll be sharing some assignments on this. You can start working on it. Tomorrow, I'll be giving the overview of React.js, how you are going to work. Okay, very important topic. Okay, many are aware of HTML5 and JavaScript, but you may not be aware of React.js. So tomorrow I'll be showing you the advantage of working with React.js. What are the, how easy it is. What is the concept of reusability in JavaScript? Okay, how to reuse the components. How we are going to work with routing. All these things I'll be discussing in tomorrow's session. Very, very important topic. Please don't miss the session. Okay, fine. Now I am going to hand over the session to the team of Brainovision. Thanks everyone. Let's connect tomorrow.
Thank you, Madhu sir.
Yeah, thank you.
So we are done with the day 2. Dear coordinators, so thank you for joining. And we have the feedback link in the chat box and description box. So participants, please fill the feedback form without fail, because we will be sharing the feedback